Hello YouTube, I'm Serena and welcome to my channel. This video will be a weekend reading vlog starting off with this novel. If I try to pronounce this, I will butcher it. It is a translated novel. I am also currently reading it. I'm reading this with somebody else and I'm currently behind, so I'm going to catch you guys up on what I've read so far. I'm on page 48 of this book, and like the title, I cannot pronounce the main character's name properly, so for the sake of this video, her name is going to be Y, and Y owns this bookstore. And so far, we've seen her interview and hire this barista that she overpays by a lot, and she has had this brought to her attention, but she didn't lower his wages, so that was pretty interesting. She also rents the bookstore out on Wednesdays and Fridays to make the bookstore more lucrative, and she has other tactics that she uses to make the bookstore more lucrative as the book has progressed so far. I've tabbed some parts of the books some parts of the book that I have found interesting or sort of eye-opening, and that's it so far as I've read. So let's get into reading. I just finished a chapter, so now I'm on page 64. The chapter focuses on Y's barista's past, and also, for the sake of this video, his name is just going to be M. But M is dealing with the fact of going to college and then not being able to get a job, which for a lot of people, you know, this is a reality. And he had basically been told that, you know, after you get into a good university, the rest of your life is going to be easy. And for M, that was not the case. Anywho, before I continue reading, I have to go put dinner up that I made and unload the dishwasher, and then get ready for bed. And if I'm done with all that and still have time before my bedtime, I will continue reading. Hi guys, I just finished spending some time with family, and I ended up catching up to my reading buddy in the book I've been reading, and so now we're both on page 74. And so far in this book, I have gone to the point where one of the customers who like come in frequently crocheted and ended up donating some of their like crocheted items to the bookstore, and then the bookstore did a giveaway with them, and that brought in some customers. And then we see her interact with a mother and her son, and the mother plans on coming in once a week, and she wants Y to recommend him a book each week. And right now she's looking through the Catcher in the Rye to see if anything's relevant for him. But that's all I think I'm going to be reading of this book for this vlog, so I will show you guys what we're reading next. It's 9:57, so I'm about to get ready to go to bed. But before I do that, I'm going to update you all on what I've read so far. So I've only read a chapter of A Pair of Aces, but it's been quite interesting. We meet our first main character, whose name is Polly, and Polly is a Jewish woman who runs a whorehouse, and she's in partnership with her friend who runs a theater and also does plays, something with theatrics. Anywho, her partnership slash friend is hurting for money, so he's bringing in more investors and more people. This is a semi-regular occurrence, but the person that he's brought in this time seems off to Polly. For whatever reason, she can just kind of sense it right off the bat. This is not the same kind of person that her friend usually gets to invest in his business. So she's kind of confused. And with a little bit of digging and side conversations with her friend, she finds out this dude, Mr. Brown, is actually the head of the Dutch mob. And she realizes that this is a very dangerous man, because recently there's been a lot of violence in the community in relations to mobsters. And so basically, as soon as the mobsters leave, she gets her and her girls out of there. And on their way out, they get arrested. What for? I don't know yet. But that's one hell of a cliffhanger if you ask me. Anywho, I'm finna go and get ready for bed. And I may check in with you all again tonight. We'll see. If not, definitely in the morning. I just finished chapter 3, and in chapter 2 we get introduced to Eunice, who's our other main female character. And Eunice is black, or colored as they refer to her in the book, and she's working for the district attorney's office. And apparently she's like one of the best, like working for one of the best DAs. And of course they have her doing things that's way below her experience level. They have her taking reports and calls on everything that comes in relations to the mob. And apparently the mob killed this dude named Colt, who was just randomly killing a bunch of people, including a kid. Eunice refers to him as the baby killer. And the mob took him out last night, so a lot of like the police force and everybody's focused on who killed him. And Eunice, through doing this work that's way below her experience level, finds a connection between like mobsters and like prostitutes or ladies of the night, which is Polly's line of work. And Polly got arrested last night for, I think, either pandering, I believe. And Eunice ends up going to see Polly in jail. And then that's where chapter 3 starts. Polly can tell what shoes she's wearing just by like the sound of them, which is kind of interesting. Anywho, Eunice and Polly have a pretty unproductive conversation because Eunice is trying to figure out if Polly knows anything about mobsters, but like Polly refuses to talk for like two reasons. One is not really confirmed that she runs like this prostituting establishment, and like Polly just refuses to fess up to anything. Even after Eunice has already told her, "Hey, I'm not here to get you on like your pandering crimes. I just want some information." But Polly's not giving up anything at all. So we're about to start chapter 4 on that basis of knowledge. But before I get into that, I do have some things to do around the house. So before I get back into reading, I'll be taking care of those things. And then I'll check back in with you guys once I'm done reading, or I have to stop to take care of something else. So I have just finished, I believe, chapter 5? No, chapter 6. I've just finished chapter 6. And we've learned a lot. Eunice is married, has a son, and her mother lives with them. Her mother has some type of like degenerative disease that affects her joints and maybe dementia, because they said that she changes her birth year a lot day to day. But that's pretty interesting. We learn a little bit more about Eunice's relationship with her husband, which is not great. Ever since she joined the district attorney's office, it hasn't been a good time for their marriage. He feels like she's putting their whole family in danger because she's working for like the division specifically designated to take down the mob. And so he believes that's going to bring heat down on not only her, but the family. And he would prefer her to either join him at his dentistry office. And he's a very popular and famous dentist. I believe they're stationed in Harlem. So, in Harlem. Also, Polly has gotten out of jail, and she had an outrageous bail of $2,500. And what else? Eunice has been looking through her files and noticed that a lot of the bail bondsmen for some of these like prostitution slash pandering cases have been different people, but they all have basically the same signature. So she feels like that's really odd. And the last thing we get is Polly in court, in result in relations to the case. And the district attorney, the actual elected district attorney, is trying her case. So I'm sure it's not going to be an easy one to win for Polly. But that's about it. I am about to go exercise. So I will check back in with you guys after. Hi guys, it's currently Monday morning, and even though Monday's not technically the weekend, I'm including this in the video because I started on Friday at like 3 p.m. So, to hopefully make up that time difference, I'm going to continue this video until 3 p.m. today. Anywho, last night I read a bunch. And so far, Polly has gotten in and out of jail, had to pay a $2,500 bail fine. Or did I mention that already? I don't remember. But Mr. Brown, whose real name is Dutch, who's really the head of, I think, the Italian mob, I know that's kind of confusing, has found her whorehouse, which she didn't give the address for, so I don't know how he found that out. I guess streets and rumors. Eunice has convinced herself to ship her son off to Barbados for his safety after another unproductive meeting with Polly, who scared her by basically saying that, like, snitches get killed. So, yeah. And she just basically found out from, like, the head of her, like, district attorney's office that all the research and all the calls she's taking basically doesn't matter, and that he's not looking into arresting prostitutes. He just wants Dutch, the head honcho of the mob. So that's where we currently are. And like every other segment of this video, I do have some things to take care of, and I will check back in with you afterward. Hi guys, so it's the end of this reading vlog. I didn't finish any books, which is not great, but I did have a fun time reading both of them. In relations to the book I'm currently reading, A Pair of Aces, Eunice got a threat about her son in Barbados, and Polly actually went to jail. What the hell that? Well, I guess this is the end of the reading vlog, but I would like to update you all on the little bit that I've read of A Pair of Aces. Polly has been informed that Dutch has been shot and may not make it through the night, so he's trying to find out who shot him. To me, that's wild. You're on your deathbed and that's the first thing you're worried about, but okay. And Eunice gets a threat about her son being in Barbados, so then her mom goes to prevent her from quitting the district attorney's office, which her husband has been very adamant on her doing. And then, thanks to her best friend's help, she realized that she wasn't spending much time with her husband. So now, so like, so she planned like a little getaway weekend, with him, and it doesn't go through because they get another threat, basically saying I wouldn't go to that vineyard if I were you, basically, or it's kind of like a threat, basically knowing that she's trying to go to that vineyard. And so apparently she's not the only one in the office getting these threats. What I forgot to mention last segment was he also not the last segment. Well, he mentioned not he. The district attorney who she works for told her not to tell anyone about these threats because he doesn't want fear to, affect people working. And I completely get that, but to me, it just seems really, I'm not going to say unnecessary, but like, it's not normal not to report things like that. Anywho, like I said, this was the end of the vlog, even though I didn't finish any books.